Hey, welcome back to my series on Transport Fever 2. I hope you're all having a great day. Um, I am just going to get started straight into this with a review of what we've just recently done with our passenger lines. We are heading here into London, um, Euston Station, at the north side of London here. And I have made a few tweaks here and there since last episode, but a lot of little tweaks, not a great deal of change though. So let's just pan back here and get out of camera mode. And we're up here overlooking London. I want to call up our stations, and what we can see here is our passenger network. We don't have an industry network yet here in this central region. If I turn around, this is our industry network here. Little bit of food buildup, but otherwise not a lot is jumping out at me. Okay, what we do have here though is large passenger icons. What does that mean? Does that mean 500? Whoa, yeah, 500 heading towards 1,000, right? So we've got some serious numbers here. Let's have a look. Yeah, yeah, okay, all right. I would say that's an issue that we need to deal with first today. Even up the back here. Right, okay. So I think the first thing that I should point out is, as discussed last episode, I've made the long line of this train here, which is now the Northampton to Newcastle, and it comes all the way down here to Northampton. It's got the loop train on delay here, waiting for it to come out. You can see it's got two options. It can either jump onto the inside loop, or it can, yeah, it can go onto the London Loop platform as well. It's on a single line here, coming in and out where it splits, and then makes its way up to, what's our first stop? Birmingham. Now, I've still got the Birmingham link, sorry, the Northampton link here to Birmingham. And you can see that this station is being really well looked after, and so is this station. That doesn't have any build-up of passengers. And I'd really like to thank the feedback that I got last episode, especially from Al, who suggested probably need a combination of the long line and short terminating trains in between certain stations that just need that extra capacity, that need that extra line. So what I've got here is the way I like to set this type of line up is actually a three-track line. And the reason for that is I don't mind them sharing, right? I don't mind them sharing a two-track line. That's one train peeling off to the left and one train peeling off to the right further down there, and then sharing a station here. But what I want them to do is I don't want them to interrupt the through train at all. I want the through train, the Northampton and Newcastle, to have the priority. So the train that's terminating here peels off and uses the loop train station. And that's because a number of trains on the loop is only one, or in some cases two. So here he is dropping his passengers off, and now he's going to turn around. I should also mention that on these loops, I've added the mail platform to the stations, and sometimes I've given them an extra link with a road here that comes in on this smaller cargo platform. It can't reach to the road, so it's got like a side road here. Okay, so our terminating train now turns around, and look, it is interrupting the inner loop train, and I'd rather it interrupt that train than the long distance train. Now the next thing I want to point out is it's a single line coming in, but I'm going to pause it here as he clears this here. I've got a section of track onto the side here that when the train was coming down this way, he can pull into here, and if he is waiting for the loop train that's already here, so if the loop train's in this platform, I don't want the terminating train to sit here blocking the line waiting for this train to leave. So I'm using the middle track as an entry point onto the platform, and if he has to wait, he waits here. He waits here, and then the straight through train can come past him. Again, the whole reason for this setup here is so it doesn't interfere with my high speed train. Now, if this guy was coming back out and crossing both tracks to get onto the outside line here to head back down to Newcastle, he would have interfered with the train coming in and the train going down. And again, I don't want to interfere with this line here at all. So by having this siding here for them to hold in on the way in, instead of having them come back out, they just head all the way back down on this left-hand lane. But you can see that the middle lane is shared. Now, I don't mind the middle lane being shared if they can both feed in down here onto this middle lane together. Now, I am giving priority to the long line, and I'm using one of my tricks here of the very short signaling, and like half signaling to full length signal to really long signal. Don't even know where the next one is, but there is a feed in. So what I want to do is I want to check on this every now and then and make sure that that it feeds in nicely. And there's a lot more of the moguls on this line running up here than there is on the shorter runs. The shorter runs might only have a couple of trains on it. I'm guessing this has maybe 2 trains on it. 2 trains. Whereas our long line, I don't know how many trains it's up to now. Let's have a look. 12. There's 12 trains on the long line. So we are going to get a lot more trains running running the long line, and I want them to have no interruptions. And our suggestion of like doing a combination of these short lines and the long line will mean that we can move people around a little bit more efficient. For example, there is a lot of people here at Birmingham that wants to go to Sheffield, but not as many people in Sheffield that want to keep going necessarily. Still 308. So we have a lot of people on these lines. So maybe this section of line ends up having yeah, so how many want to go back to Birmingham? Yeah, 308 want to go to Birmingham. And 580 want to go to Sheffield. So, there isn't a huge amount that wants to continue up here. The line is dealing with this section here. How many want to come back? 270. 128 to Leeds, which is around the corner here. So it looks like we could use a couple more trains on the line. So I think I'll do that right now. So if I put 2 trains on the line, I'm not sure where they're going to come out. I think they come out at Sheffield or Leeds. Best way to do it is to run down the bottom here. Oh, that's not you. Oh, damn, they filled in a few numbers in between, didn't they? Oh, here we go, 17 and 23. And we tell her to jump to here, and here is, whoop. If you just zoom back, Sims, Leeds in New York, yeah. Okay, so this is the main depot that it comes out of when I copy. It doesn't really matter where the train is when I ask it to copy or what direction it's going in or anything like that. It usually just comes out of here, even though there's a couple of options on the network. Okay, while I'm at it, I should point out that our money has changed recently over the last couple of episodes quite dramatically. And that is because I have changed the difficulty to hard. It was on very hard for a little while, and it brought our money down. We originally started in the map originally started in medium, and we made so much money so fast. It was kind of ridiculous. And I really don't like that the infinite money type thing. So I want to sort of keep track of like what's making money and what's not. So it turns out the Mogul actually costs about half the amount of what the Central Pacific does, and it also costs about half the amount in maintenance. So I think we will change over everything probably to the Mogul now that we're playing in hard mode. We can see that I am losing a little bit of cash here. We were losing a lot in the last couple of episodes, and I really wanted it to come down to a much more reasonable number. Okay, so that's a change. The platforms have now got the ability to do mail around the network, and we've got some line. Oh, this line was already here that came around this side. What I did do though is add this line that came around, and the way it works is they come in on the single line here and then they choose whichever one's available. And now it links directly in to the London Loop. So you can go from here from Northampton all the way to Newcastle through Birmingham, Sheffield, Leeds, York, Newcastle. And then you can do a change of train here and you can go anywhere on the loop. If you want to go to Southampton, you jump off and you go through Reading and you come down to Southampton. From there you have to change to get to Brighton. And if you want to go to Hastings, you jump off here and do the loop and then come down to Hastings. So from top to bottom, you've got 1, 2, 3. You've got 4 trains to go to Newcastle. I would like to reduce that down, maybe later on, where there is a train that maybe goes from Hastings around the loop and then all the way up. Maybe a new line though that goes from Hastings, Peterborough, Sheffield, and then hooks in here to the loop maybe. Just to have another option to go north. We could have another option to go north from Southampton, run around here, Oxford, Birmingham, Sheffield, Manchester. Okay. Now I wanted to let this play through to see if these big icons actually drop down. And with the 2 trains that I put on, they're not going to make an impact yet. So I'll look at the Birmingham a little bit later. I think my concern really is this section here in between these two is kind of interesting, right? And then what have we got? We've probably got a build up here in London going this way. And I think the reason for that is these southern cities. These cities are feeding into London. And if they want to go any further north, they want to go through Peterborough if they're in London. And if they're coming up to Reading and they want to go any further north through Northampton, they come up to here and then they want to head up. I don't know why there's a build up to go south here. No, that's the London Loop and that's the Southern Loop. So I'm not sure why there's... Now, I think the way we switch this on actually has a big impact on where people are working. So if you remember, we switched Oxford on first, and so when Oxford became linked to everywhere in the south, a lot of their people got jobs in the south. And so that's why there's this much higher number of people in Oxford that want to go to southern cities. So if we look at Birmingham, there's 120 that work in Birmingham and 170 that shop there. But we've got a much higher number in Southampton, higher in Reading. People staying in Oxford is very low. And London's 150. But the northern cities, well, Northampton and Peterborough that got linked in afterwards are lower, a little lower. But look at somewhere like Leeds and York, which has just been added, 12 and 7. And Newcastle was only added right at the end of last episode. So there's only 3 people working up in Newcastle. Uh, so it makes a really big difference on the order that you add in your cities to the network. And so, like I might make a change here that much later in the game, when things level out a little bit more, might not be as important. So I have created the way I like to do a an extra line here, an extra terminating line. I'd rather them terminate, like I said earlier, on this side here. And as you know, I like to sort of match what my era speed is. So it's about 75 these days. So a train can just scream straight in without slowing down. And so coming down here will be the shared line on the same principle as what we talked about earlier. I could do it with just one line extra. So I'm going to pause it for a second. What's this length here? Let's have a look at whether a train fits into that length. Because I might use this, like I said before, as a train peeling off. What if a train peels off here and then sits into this section here? Okay, well, he's clear of... That would be a signal here. And he's within it. Which means I could put a track here. That's a bit longer than what I need. So what I can do is I'll actually go from here and then look for 75. Oh, 77. Okay, so the idea here is that the train comes down, peels off. If it has to wait, it can sit in here and not interrupt this train. Then when it's ready, it can peel in here, drop off, leave again on its own line. What if this was its own line coming back? And what we can ask it to do is to mirror image that signal that we have there. Oh, by the way, I deleted I removed the train depots that are here. Mainly because they were kind of temporary just to get started with. I will need to reconsider how to do them again in the future. Okay, so if we mirror image that one and then get rid of this track, we'll just get rid of it altogether. Now I've got a train. Let me just fix this up. I think that's good enough for now. So let's continue to track up. Continue up to the tunnel. Okay, this is interesting. How much... I'm not going to have much space on this side of the tunnel. I just want to make sure there's no weirdness going on here in the tunnel. No, looks good. Okay, what if we use the same principle that this train will be pulling into here, and then he's going to pull into, he's going to merge onto the middle line coming back down. When he merges onto the middle line coming back down, he splits off to this one. Okay. Let's see if we can do something similar. And I guess the way he'll merge will go right to the tunnel, right? And we want 70. That's not a long enough distance for a holding. Now he's on his own line coming in here. That's terrible. Look at that. All right, it kind of has to happen here. Which means this signal here will actually need to be an outie and not an in. And then when he comes back out on the line, he'll need to be here. He'll need to be here. Okay, so let's have that back up again. He stops here to wait for the train pulling out. The train pulling out will come up to here and stop here, waiting for the train to go through. The train here won't leave the platform if there's one going through here until he's totally clear, and then he'll leave. The train here will pull out, stop here, and then pull out. Will he ever stop there? No, never. Unless what? Unless he comes out right behind a train in the tunnel. And the tunnel's quite long, so let's just assume that we'll put a signal in the middle here, which is the up, the down, and the down. Okay. A little bit of cleanup here and we should be good. I'll worry about the rest of the cleanup later on. I didn't realize that height difference, yeah, it goes up on a hill here. Okay. All right, so we need a new line here. And it's going to be passenger to passenger. and I'm going to tell it at Reading to go to 2. And then it'll be something like 2 as well, up the other end. Okay, so here's how it works. Yeah, he's got his own trip back, so he doesn't interfere with anyone. On the way down, he doesn't interfere with anyone because he can pull out and wait there on the decider. That's the deciding switch to what platform to go to. It only has one. I could tell it that that's an option, but I really don't want to interfere with those trains. Just because there's so many passenger movements on those lines, I think it's really important that we don't interfere with our express lines. Okay, yeah, look at the number of people that are on this platform. Now, that one works as well, and it just has the potential to slow someone down when it gets onto the line here. So that's the one point of potential slowdown. And now I have to reconsider where my stuff comes from, but there's one right there. And I'm going to want him to come onto the line in the wrong direction here. But I will want to wait for the train to go past. All right, so I'm going to buy a train here. I'm pretty sure this will work. Okay, so just showing you the Central is 2.1 at 350,000 maintenance. Yeah, so 2.1 and 350. And the Mogul is 1.4 and 242. So while it is not as much as half, 6, 7. There he goes. I just saw him go past. If I put him onto this line here, line 1, and then I can rename this. You can rename it here. What is it? Well, it's a train passenger. It is Oxford to Reading. Okay, so I think what will be interesting is how much traffic it takes off Loop 2. So what I think will happen is it will basically does what it does with anything is if there's 2 options here, it'll split the line. So we've got a fair few on the Reading loop as well. And that would be just this section here that transfers around here will be that's the super busy section. The rest of the line will be like 5 people or whatever. Yeah, look. The loop going the rest of the way around here is 19. Oh, I pressed on cargo. But an example will be here. This will be in both directions. The line has no people on it. But to get around to this one section that everyone has to get off here, jump onto that loop train, comes in here and then switches to switches to the Southampton train here. So there are sections of the track which has got really high end use. Okay, he hasn't come down yet, but is this our mate? This is our mate. Oxford to Reading, yeah. And he's not carrying anyone, but I think what will happen, like I said, is it'll split it. It'll basically split it between the two lines. Come on, mate, you can go faster than that. Okay, we'll let you go. See you later, buddy. We can go faster, especially if we zoom out a little. We can go super fast. Oh, a little bit over there. And as long as the game doesn't give me a hiccup, which is better to do it away from the train, especially on console. We shouldn't miss anywhere. However, I did see that it's kind of a bit sus on the side there. So we'll just smooth that rough edge. Nothing special. Just take the edge off this section here. Just a little. There we go. Okay, and he's coming back out with passengers this time. He's got 58. Not bad. We'll check in on him later, because what it should do is split it. That 342 should be 150 and 150. Now, if this line can do the 150, the new line shouldn't have too many people on it, and this should go down from 500 down to maybe 200 or something like that, and we can then sort of look at how many more trains we want on the line. And then over on this side, going south, this is 500 going south. So we want 250 left on this one, and the Reading will have 250 on that one. That's the plan. Okay, the second plan is mail. Like I said, I have spent a fair amount of time in game putting these platforms in. I would also like to thank the tip that we got last episode, reminding me that you can actually force paint our stations here. I forgot all about it, actually. Last time I was painting around stations was all the way back at decorating around Kendall on my last series. But in the comment section last episode, thank you very much, mate, really appreciate it, was Asphalt 1 R1 force paint. It's right there in front of my face. It is a control setting. When I read it, I thought, damn, is that hidden? No, Sims, it was right in front of your face. You just forgot all about it. So you can actually force paint down, and I experimented here a little bit with some different shades, But essentially, I've done all of the loops. So you'll be able to see now that there is a mail platform on all of these. And when we zoom out, if I haven't missed any, there's mail platforms there. There are mail platforms there. Mail there. Oh my God, I missed one. Look at that. I actually missed one. Damn. Okay. All right. So All right, well, that's not a bad thing, I guess, right? We're going to let this train go, and we're going to pause. All right, this is how I'd add a mail platform onto this. What is this? This is industrial? Commercial. This is commercial. Okay. All right, so we configure. The first thing we do is we put in our tracks, our existing tracks. We then put in a platform for the passengers and a platform for the cargo. The cargo won't fit there for the large one because it's double width. Now, there is a trick here. You can put in a half width platform, which is this one here. And then you can put the larger building in. But, however, I was experimenting with it to begin with, and then I really couldn't tell the difference between, the passenger and the cargo easily enough. It might sound silly, but this kind of was standing out to me. Okay. So I quite clearly have a cargo platform here. Let's get rid of this one and this one, and we'll change it to half cargo, half passenger. Do the passengers have their extra little, not on this station, they don't. We'll put them all in for them to have easy access to the platform that they want. Okay, and now we can put the rails back in. We can put the signals back in. I like to put a side road in here. Can I fit the standard? Yep. Now in the future that could be across here so that we can extend off. Just depends on what happens in the future. Roads. We need to lock this so that they don't automatically extend across there. We can paint. We're on the asphalt. We can force paint here up to here. Around to there. We'll go a little bit bigger here. We can force paint here. Oh, we got a tree here. We'll just check that it's actually smooth along there. Okay. Station has a mail platform. Now later on, this is obviously going to have cargo platforms here. But I want these trains to do the mail deliveries on the inside here. So what we want to do here is adjust the train. So I'm going to change it to a mogul now, just because it's going to save me money, and I really need to consider saving money here. Now we've got a 200-meter platform now, so what I think I'll do is I can overstretch on I can overstretch on the passengers and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that, just fits in. Perfect. Okay, so now there's a passenger train on the line. We can adjust the line. We can adjust the line to be. Okay, I wonder if I've named these. I definitely didn't name this one. But the first thing we'll do is we'll go to leads, which is this one here, and we'll add that should be leads mail. Probably haven't named these, right? Oh, I've named that one, York Mail. And then the industry, it stops after it does its passengers. And then on the commercial, we'll do that one. Okay, I will rename this commercial mail, industry mail, York Mail. We'll rename this one just leads. Okay, naming is sorted. Okay, next what I need to make sure is that on each of the mail drops, I say mail only. Because I don't want any funny business going on, you know, anything else hitching a ride with I don't want anything hitching a ride with the mail run. Press play. So basically what we should get here is a stop at the passengers. I think the engine ends up overhanging a little and the 4 cars on the back end end up hanging out a little. Yep. And so it's still within the platform of the passengers. Look at that. Even though it's a little too long, the passenger cars themselves are not too long. And then it should roll up to here to pick up and drop off the mail, and that should fit into the platform, and it does. Let me pause for a second. That means that if I've done this on every station on our express trains, look at the size of our platforms now. So basically what I can do is add this into 200 meters. Now, just out of curiosity, I'm going to do it to this one. I just want to see, oh, wrong button, Sims. I just want to see what that actually means. So we would go 206 is too long. So really it's just an extra 2 cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. It's an extra 2 cars we get on there, which is an extra 32 passengers, which isn't bad, right? I guess the question will be, is the other place that I've probably missed is here, and it'll be too long. Okay, here's a new question. what if we delete that? And then configure, can we get a platform in here? No. Okay, this is a problem. I'm going to need this train station longer. So is that track in the middle still in the way? It is. Oh, what did you just do there? Jesus, you zoomed into the station? Okay. Probably need to fix that track up in the future, but we do need one extra platform here. Alright. Configure. Put track in here. Track in here. Track in here. I want to do it on this one as well, don't I? But I got a train on it. Yes, you should have waited, Sims, until they left. There's a fair gap in between when each train comes in. It's not totally full up this end of the line. That's why I don't want to put more trains on this line. Because what I'm doing is just making this end of the line lose money. So we'll pause, we'll delete, put a track in. Why do you say no? Because you need to delete. Oh, you just zoomed in on the platform again. Okay, need to delete that bit as well. Now put the track in. Thank you. Extend the track to there. Extend this track to here as the dead end. Damn, that works out okay. All right. And the thing is that these trains do not do the mail. Now that's the difference here in Newcastle. There will be some sort of cargo train that will bring the mail up to here. But this train will not do the mail. Definitely not. The trains that are doing the mail are the loop trains, just on the inside track here. This is the train that does the mail. Okay. So we've got our entire mail network other than what? Newcastle. So we got all of Leeds and York, Sheffield, Birmingham, Northampton. Did I do? Yeah, I did Peterborough. Oxford. Yes. Now we already have our mail linked in to our mail network here. And we have 100 capacity. That's not a lot of mail. Down south here we have mail. Now they have a fair bit of capacity here. So I think I need to do this in stages, right? Yeah, I think we need to have a mail loop around 87, we got, what was that, a little tram? That'd be interesting if we have little trams running around. Okay, so that's easy enough. What we can do is we can add in a cargo platform on every one of these stations on the loop, and put maybe even just in one direction, or would we want it in two directions? We have it in two directions, and it would serve as our cargo line in the future on the loop. The problem will be is that the cargo line will need to get its mail into here. So really what we'd want on the loop is a cargo platform here. It would drop its mail off here, and our current mail train, which is this one here, it could stop in here on the way. It could stop in here on the way through, but when it comes through, it's on that right-hand track, isn't it? Yeah. All right, what if we just had a train that stopped? This is the grain platform, by the way. The grain comes in here to feed into the alcohol, which is not linked into anything yet. But is that storing? Yeah, it's got 500 stored. All right. We could have a train here from London Alcohol that just buries mail backwards and forwards. Just a shunter. Just have a shunter that's in here, and then the main cargo line could have a platform on it and loop around. I think need to deal with these passenger issues. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a great week. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Maybe even hit the like button. It's much appreciated if you do. I really do appreciate it, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.